My name is Adam Mintz. I'm the Senior Product Solutions Manager here at Helpshift. Today we're going to be going over our new Queues product, doing an overview, telling the story of why we built it, what it does, and then showing you a live demo and how you can use it in your own dashboard. Assisting me today, I have Tracy and Han, who will be helping me out show you how the Queues product works. So let's get started. So here's a little schedule. Like I said, create a queues, what do queues do? We'll do difference between smart views and queues. Some use cases, right? Prioritizing paid users, and then also managing SLAs. Auto assignments, a live demo, and then questions will be at the end. Please use the Q&A feature and submit your questions. Han will be collecting them, and then I'll be able to answer them at the end of this webinar. So let's start with the story of queues. The reason we really built queues is because we found that a lot of time was wasted by agents picking issues out of smart views, looking at them, not answering them, and ultimately, from a business standpoint, a lot of our customers found that tickets weren't being answered, customers weren't being replied to. So with smart views, agents could cherry pick issues that were easy. You had to rely on agents, right, with tags and certain smart views to always remember, hey, do this VIP players queue first, do this bugs queue smart view first, and reply to those issues. But there's no way to automatically assign them based on priority to agents to force them to just reply to those priority issues first or priority users first. And also workload, right? There were huge backlogs before queues. A lot of our customers said, how do we manage a backlog? How do I make sure that the customer who's waiting the longest gets answered first? How do I always guarantee that if someone's paying me money inside my app, they get answered first over my free users? So we went to the drawing board, went to products, and came out with a really great product, which I think you'll see really solves a lot of these problems. So what does a queue do? You'll have to excuse my graphics over here, but this is just me trying to be a designer, kind of walking you through where queues plays into our advanced workflow management suite of products. So a new issue automation organizes something into a queue. It sends the issue to the queue. The queue then distributes it, right, with a couple conditions, right? You have our agents online. Do they have capacity to answer issues? Is there a backlog currently? And then also there are agents offline. And then you automate a lot of the distribution and load balancing of these issues to the various teams. So we also have a built-in round-robin assignments, so things are evenly distributed. Unlike smart views, right, it was a matter of an agent's working faster than another. He might answer more issues. A slower agent might not get as many issues. This is eliminated now because now you're evenly distributing issues to agents. You can no longer need an agent to click the assign issues to me. You're not paying a supervisor or a senior support manager to manually assign issues. That's a waste of time and money. Queues is really about saving you costs and making everything more efficient. Because at the end of the day, you're paying your support agents to answer tickets, not to manually assign things and do manual checkup tasks. And then of course, the backlog is prioritizing customers based off waiting time. So you can make sure that those customers are answered first so they don't churn or leave you because of the amount of time it's taking for them to get a response. So smart views versus queues, I kind of covered this earlier, but let me go over in more detail here. Smart views you can only pick from a list. You can't auto-assign out of a smart view. Queues, of course, have an auto-assignment built in. By the way, the auto-assignment for queues is optional. So as I'll show you in my demonstration, not every kind of issue needs to be auto-assigned. For instance, things with a tighter SLA, right, like live chat or VIP users, maybe you want to turn auto-assignment for that. But things like web issues, feedback, don't need to turn on auto-assignment for that. Smart views are always going to be there, right? They're always in the dashboard, but queues only shows issues to an agent if something is currently assigned to them or waiting for them to respond back, right? So it's a much cleaner look and much cleaner flow for agents to stay organized and focused. And of course, smart views can prioritize backlog. Queues prioritizes backlog first. And on the right-hand side, you see how queues looks in the dashboard. Left-hand side are those smart views. So one use case is, how do I prioritize my paid users? Now, whether you're a mobile game with free-to-play model, whether you're a subscription model with a paid tier and a free tier, or just purely a different tier level of paying users, you can easily do queues for those types of users. Obviously, if someone's paying you to keep the lights on, they should be answered first over someone who isn't paying you anything. The flow for an agent, they work from top down. On the right-hand side, you see the VIP issue is above the free customers over there. Now, all paid issues will take priority over free issues, and this also includes the backlog. So if you have a backlog of free issues and a new issue from a paid user comes in, that will actually be assigned first over the free issue backlog. So the priority of queues, which I'll kind of go over in the dashboard, makes it so that your paid users are always going to be answered first, or any type of priority you want to set. And of course, the benefit is the top issues or issue type or user type get answered first. Now, another use case as well is you want to prioritize your mobile channel. Mobile channel has a shorter SLA, right, because they're inside the app. Email, web tickets, a lot of you have multiple channels there. The SLA is a little bit longer. So with queues, you're able to have a priority that's higher. So you see priority 9 over priority 10 for mobile issues on the right-hand side. If you notice, the auto assignment is turned on for mobile issues, but it is off for web and email issues. Let's talk about auto assignments. So auto assignments is based on a team level. And as you look at the bottom side, the team down here, we have it limited to 2 issues per agent or per person on that team who's answering issues. In a queue on the right-hand side, when you want to have agents access a queue and be able to have things auto-assigned to them, you can do a mix of agents, supervisors, or even admins. It's up to you on how you want to do it. Of course, there's the option to only make it to available members, and I'll kind of talk about this later on what our concept of availability is versus unavailable. Because with queues, remember, if someone's submitting a new issue or you're pulling something from a backlog, it should go to an agent who's currently online. It's a really bad experience, especially if you want to offer a live chat or a much quicker response time, to have a user or a customer of yours submit an issue, start a chat, and no one's available to respond back. You might as well not have it. So it's important using queues, measuring your KPIs to make sure that you're properly staffed to handle this volume. And one more thing, as I'm going through queues, and as you're setting them up in your dashboard, some of you might already have them, some of you might have seen one demo and are starting to set it up some more. It's important to realize that the agent's experience will differ depending upon what queues and priority of those queues they're added to. So let's take a look at Agent Alice and Agent Bobby. This is what their My Open Issues looks like. Alice is part of the VIP group. So for her, anytime there's a VIP issue, that will be her #1 priority, and free customers are #2. However, Bobby's not a part of the VIP agent queue, but he's also a member of the free customers, just like Alice. So for Bobby, his #1 priority are free customers, and then of course he also can handle feedback. So it's important to see when you're balancing which of your agents have access to which queues, you think about this, and you be able to have some of your VIP agents or extra agents have coverage on your lower tier agents. But remember, because of our priority system, those VIP agents, if there's any VIP issues, they'll still get those. But if they have no VIP work to do, they'll be able to have free customers issues automatically assigned to them so they can help cover that load. And now it's demo time. I have our demo dashboard up and open here. I have an iPhone plugged in here, and I'm going to walk through a conversation. So I'm going to go do 2 flows, and I will go, after I show you the full end-to-end experience, I'm going to walk you through the dashboard settings and show you how I set this up. But to give you the big picture, it's important to see the full flow. Also, sneak peek, by the way, you'll be able to see our typing indicator. which we're very excited about. That shipped in the most recent SDK, version 6.0, and that really allows you to offer a true live chat experience. So Tracy's going to help me out here. Tracy will be the agent. I'm an admin view, and Tracy will also share her screen in just a bit to show you how this works. So I'm going to submit an issue. I'm going to say, where is my refund? Send. So first, this is our show search on conversation. It's looking at my keywords that I've typed in and showing me any FAQ that might work for me. Processing refunds, you offer refunds, it matched that. This is an SDK setting. If you don't have this, highly recommend you enable this. But I'm going to send this issue anyways. So I click send. Tracy, you want to share your screen? So we're going to switch to Tracy's. And now there's in Tracy's queue. You can see that live chat queue is above. She's going to send a reply back. Now I'm going to share my screen again. So as you can see here, I'm clicking send. Now we're back on my screen. You can see here that this is Tracy's ticket. So we're going to wait a little bit and watch. I have a time-based automation, which I'll go over later, ping Tracy as well. Because remember, if you're doing live chat, which is the live chat queue for which this issue has arrived, we want to make sure SLAs are maintained and the customer experience is there. So I've responded back. It's assigned to Tracy. The automation is pinged Tracy. Hey, Tracy, customer is waiting. Please reply back. Tracy's going to type. If you look on the left-hand side over here on my phone, you can see our typing indicator. So Tracy's responded back. Tracy, do you want to type a few words real fast? The left-hand side now, you'll see a typing indicator there showing. Great. Now I'm also going to show you another 2 time-based automations that will work to follow up and make sure that these issues are closed. So like I mentioned with queues, right? It's about making sure your agents are purely focused on helping customers, not doing basic tasks. So in this case, let's go through the example of a user has started a conversation, they went away, they disappeared, right? So my time-based automation is checking. The user has now replied in a certain amount of seconds. There we go, automation automatically there, right? So I've received it, are you still there? Let's say I disappeared or I forgot to respond back to this live chat. We'll wait another few seconds and you'll see, there we go. Issue is now resolved. Yes, my questions have been answered. And I can even do my rating, 5 stars, great. So now I'm gonna start a new conversation and I'll show you a different flow. So as you can see here in my admin dashboard, I have all issues here. There are no new issues. I even have these in my open issues. And that's the queue I have access to, right? That's my priority. So what we're gonna do now is show you how a time-based automation can actually move things from one queue to another. So the use case we're going to do here is, once again, SLA management and escalation, true escalation. And that's really where a user, Alice over here, is starting a new conversation. She's starting a live chat, and there is no agent that is responding to her right now. So what happens? Well, me as an admin or a CS manager, I might have to jump in because maybe my agents are away or they're too busy. Maybe I need to look at my KPIs and see time to first response and who's working on that shift, right? And play around with it. So let's do this again and watch what happens. So let's say, where is my refund? Once again there, send. There's a ticket. Look how it's in this queue, by the way, the live chat queue. It's been tagged refund request, of course. The queue demo is just the user tag here that I've made. Now we're going to wait, right? There's no agent responding. The customer is waiting. How long should the customer wait for? And there we go. We've now switched in my open issues. You can see, let me make this bigger over here, that I now am part of a queue called SLA Violation queue. Tracy is not part of it. It's just me. So you can see here that this is my #1 priority to do over web and email issues. So now I can respond back. As you see here, typing indicator once again, hit reply. And also, I want you to notice too, and I'll show you how I set this up, that I tagged it as SLA violation. I did that when the time-based automation ran that reassigned it. And that's purely for analytics, because when you're looking at Power BI and you're doing your tag reports, you want to see how many SLA violations happen, right? And that way you can better staff and better prepare to make sure that if you're going to offer live chat, if you're going to offer an enhanced experience for either all of your users, some of your users, that way that things are met and responded to. So here we go. There's the other time-based automation that ran. And then we'll wait a few more seconds and you'll see there it goes. Now it's resolved. And yes, all my questions were answered. I'll give myself 2 stars, right? Send. And as you know, there it is in the ticket, 2 stars. Now let's go over into how I set everything up. And here I will say is one of the more things you have to really plan out and think about, because it's a lot of workflow optimization. And if your specific use case, reach out to your account manager to walk you through some specific business use cases, but we can pretty much do everything that you're thinking of because of how our automations work and how time-based automations work and how queues work. So let's start with our settings. So we're gonna go into our settings. First, I wanna walk you through how that issue from my iPhone went into that queue. Well, for that, we'll have to go to automations. It's a new issue automation, right? So I have the refund priority queue here. I also have web and email feedback queues that resolve and exit. But let's look at this one. So also we have the order of priority here. So this is at the top. I'm gonna go to edit and let's walk us through. Tags has one of queue demo. That's because my user type is queue demo. For you, that might be a VIP tag. It could be a live chat HS tag, depending upon where you're offering that inside your app. Of course, the app is sales demo app. This one, I'm looking for a specific word of refund, which triggers this. I'm adding a tag called refund request, so I can run analytics and say how many people wrote in about refund requests. I'm assigning to my live chat queue. And then there's my auto reply, right? Someone is coming online to assist you with your refund request. This is great, right? Expectations are being set. Now, I also want to show you another automation I'm doing, right? So if a web and email issue comes back or about feedback, if I go here, if it's feedback, it's basically a simple reply and auto close. But it'll still go to the queue so I can have it organized and maybe reopen it later on if I actually want to ask additional questions. Remember, this is an email ticket, so you can always reopen email. And then, of course, if someone's filing a bug from the web, I have it going to, web and email issues as well, right? But it's a bug ticket. So if someone's made it a bug, there's my reply, and then I can respond to that much later. Now let's look at queues, right? So if you look at my diagram earlier, you notice that the new issue automation send things into queues. So queues are that grouping of common issues or common user types. Now, depending upon your org structure and your business model, your queues may look very different. For instance, one of the easiest ones to do is based upon language, right? Language is a very specific skill set where everyone's organized by that common language, obviously, that they can speak, but they can handle different types of issues. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is purely based upon player spend, especially for gaming, right? You have, let's say, 5 tiers of player spend. You have lowest tier, free players, someone who's spending you 25 to 50, maybe over 100 is in the next tier up, and then you have your whales, like 500 plus, right? Obviously, you want to rank them in the order of their spending tier, and you can easily do that with queues. So let's look at a queue, right? We have live chat as my #1 priority queue. So if someone's added to this queue, this will be the #1 priority. So I'm going to go in my settings here. I have auto assignment turned on, and then I've added my live chat group, which has 6 members in it. I've also added Nathan. So Nathan's just a backup admin, just in case everyone's busy on live chat. He can also answer issues as well. I have a limit of 5 issues that someone can have in there that's assigned to them. I have available members as well, so they have to be online. And then I can add additional members as well. I can do a search, right? I can add Kinsey to this. I can also add other groups as well. And the fallback message is actually if something tries to go into this queue and it's at capacity, or all the agents are at capacity, or no one's online right now, this is the immediate message that goes back to the user. It might say something like, everyone's busy right now, we apologize for the delay. It could be, please expect a 15-minute delay, up to you. But this goes back immediately if everyone's busy or other conditions apply based upon capacity. Now, if I want to edit my priority of queues, I go here and I can drag and drop, and I can change the numbers as well. Now, I also have my SLA violation queue. So this is pretty important as well. And you can see I'm the only one that's added to that because I can get that. I can get those queues or those certain issues because I'm a senior manager who needs to address them. Now let's go back to time-based automations, right? So time-based automation is actually a relatively new feature we shipped. It's a really exciting one. Time-based automations, it's great about them is it makes sure that your SLAs are met, it makes sure that work is evenly balanced, and that you're automating a lot of repetitive tasks and follow-ups especially. Now, for those of you who have been customers for a long time, you remember that when we shipped in-progress automations, the minimum date value you could do was 1 day, which in today's mobile speed world, right, 1 day is actually a lot of time. So with time-based automations, you can actually speed things up quite a bit. So let's look at a couple of time-based automations that I was running in my demo. We have our first SLA violation. So let's look at this and go into edit. So the time-based automations, you can see here I have seconds. By the way, seconds is an additional paid feature. Since I'm not in account management, I don't get to talk about pricing. I just get to show you how cool the feature is. So if you're interested in seconds, please reach out to your account manager. But you can also do minutes, hours, and days, right? So even hours is a huge jump from what we used to have. So we're really excited about that as well. So there are 3 conditions for time-based automations. The first one is agent's first response was not sent in. The next one is agent's next response was not sent in. Third one is user has not replied in. The first one is basically saying no human agent has responded to the issue. Now, you can send automations, that's one thing, but a human agent is technically a first response. So if no first response was not sent in 30 seconds, and the issue from the new issue automation went to this queue, the live chat queue, and it's been assigned to someone, right? So by having assignee is set, I definitely know that there's no backlog, but I know that Tracy is working, it's been assigned to her, and it's been 30 seconds since she's been able to respond to the user for the first time, right? Well then, for me in my business, that's an SLA violation. And I want to make sure that, when I do my analytics, that Tracy has how many SLA violation tickets, right? That's going to be a problem. So do I need to hire more people? Do I need to get rid of Tracy? That's up to me. But those are data points and decisions that I need to look at to make a future decision based upon my customer experience. And then, of course, my assignment rule is assigning it to a specific queue. So it goes to my SLA violation queue for live chat. Now, you can also add additional things. I can even add an auto reply to the user, right? I can say, hey, we are sorry about the additional wait, up to you, right? But that's just another option you can do. So this is one time-based automation. Let's look at another. This is using our new private note action item, right? So private notes are really great. It's internal communication, right, between agents. It's able to tag someone, mention someone. So you want to make sure that at your account settings level that private notes are enabled. You can run additional filters in Gmail or your email client to make sure that you know when you're mentioned from a private note. Private notes are a great way to, right, like I said, mention or make sure people notice an issue coming in. So in this one, my use case is that the agent's next response was not sent in 30 seconds. So this means that Tracy has already started a conversation. And for some reason, it's been 30 seconds and she hasn't gone back to the customer. The customer wrote back and say, hey, here's my order number. And Tracy, for some reason, maybe she went offline or she's getting coffee, or she's chit-chatting, or changing her Spotify playlist, but something where it's been 30 seconds since my agent responded to my customer, I need to do something, and I'm going to do it automatically with a time-based automation. So what I'm basically going to do is going to say, private note, pinging Tracy, hey, customer's waiting, please reply back. Now I can also reassign this. I can do other configurations as well, but in this use case, I just want to ping Tracy again and say, hey, customer is waiting, please respond back. Once again, assigning is set. My category here is 30 seconds, and it's using the agent's next response was not sent in. Now let's go over another time-based automation, right? This one is actually two of them, but it's really important for the best customer experience to do a follow-up, followed by a follow-up and close, right? Now, a lot of times, I'm sure your agents right now are manually following up with users, right? Oh, hey, haven't heard back. Did you still need that shipped, or were you still experiencing problems, right? That's a lot of wasted time, because if we think about this from a business standpoint, right? Every time your agent, who you're paying an hourly wage, touches a ticket, that's a cost to you. So if you can use queues to eliminate those manual touches, those manual costs, right? That's going to give you a lot of savings, right? Because a lot of that stuff can be solved automating it without you paying someone to manually do it. So how do we do that? Well, there's two time-based automations. Of course, they're in a certain order for a reason. We have a follow-up and we have a close issue, right? So let's look at the follow-up, right? It'll be very similar too. And we have this really great duplicate function that allows you to just modify and then save as well. So you can quickly create these on the go. So this is using the user has not replied in 30 seconds, right? So Tracy responded, waiting. It's been 30 seconds in a live chat, right? User went away or something. Okay, well, let's send an auto reply, right? Are you still there? We're adding a tag called ping user to, so we know that this automation is running in our Power BI, right? So we can look in and say, okay, how many times are we having to follow up with the user to make sure that they're still there, right? Is it something, expectations in a live chat that a user is not getting? Are they just, not wanting to return the conversation? So that's something to look at from an analytics standpoint, and how many times we're pinging the user. So this just sends an auto reply. Now let's take a look at the resolve and exit one here. So once again, this is actually 45 seconds, right? So we're giving an extra 15 seconds from that 30, right, to have this run. So we're saying that it's in the middle of a conversation, the user has not replied in, and the tag has ping user, right? So we've already sent the first automation, this first time-based automation to ping the user. And now we're gonna say, it seems like now is not a good time. So we're gonna close this out. But now we're gonna run a new tag called abandon chat. And that's purely saying that we've tried and the user has, even after trying to follow up with them, right, automatically, they haven't come back. So if the user actually responded to that first time-based automation, this would not run. This is only running, and we want to count that this is actually running because we've tried once, no follow-up, and now we're closing it out. So this you can actually look at and say, okay, here's my data points on how many times users are kind of abandoning a conversation with our support team. And then of course we have mark as resolved down here. Now let's go look into auto assignment rules. So availability. The concept of availability is a few things. One, you have an option as an admin to make a global setting here that basically gives someone an away toggle. This is very similar to any chat program. If you use GChat at work or Slack or anything, right? It's basically communicating that you're available and ready to receive new messages or new chats. Down on the left, if you see here where it says available, this is my chat. This is my availability toggle. I can put myself as away or available. If I'm available and our automations are running and queues logic is running and I'm able to access something, I will be fed issues automatically. If I go home for the day, take a coffee break or something, or just want to, as a supervisor, do some QA on my agent's performance and issues, I can mark myself as unavailable. This is a global setting, which you set here. If you do not want this, disable this toggle and everyone in your company won't have this option, which means we'll be relying purely upon our availability and presence, which essentially means that if someone has the screen open and they have a stable internet connection and we're pinging the dashboard to make sure it's stable, they will be fed issues. If for some reason they close out, they log off, they go away, coffee break, they will be marked as not available. And our logic accounts for availability, which means they will not be assigned issues, which is great for your customer experience, right? Because it will be matched with someone who's actually able to respond. Also tell you too is that your agents are slacking or not doing their jobs or taking too many coffee breaks. So that will also allow you to make sure that your operations are running smoothly and efficiently. Now, the auto assignment rules, the number of issues per person is at a team level. Teams are different than groups. Teams are higher up than groups. You can only be on one team. You can set up multiple teams. I can go over teams at another webinar, but just real quick, when you're thinking about teams, teams should be organized by people on your in your organization that have a common skill set. For instance, language, your French team, your German team. That's one way to organize teams. Another way to organize teams is if you're outsourcing, right? If you use Alchemic Dream, GoodBay, TELUS, those should all be a team. And you can have an internal team and outsource teams. Additionally, if you have developers that you want to be on a team because they have a common skill set that is different than your customer support agents, those are some ways you can make teams. Now, each team can have their own group, and you can have multiple groups. One person cannot be on multiple teams. However, a person can be in multiple groups. Also, you can have a live chat one, right? For this, I put at 5. If you're going to do live chat, do 2 or 3 because you really want a great experience for your customers. If you're not doing live chat, you can bump this up to 6, 7, 8, and look at your KPIs too in Power BI and see how many issues your agent can handle at a time without sacrificing time to first response or time to resolve. Now, this is exclude agent applied issues from limit. If you're doing live chat, leave this unchecked. If you're not doing live chat, you can check this, which basically means that those agent replies will still be inside someone's My Open Issues. And of course, auto assignment rules, you can make it to everybody, available is recommended. And then of course, if your supervisor's roles don't answer issues, right, then you should enable this, right? Because supervisors are just there to do QA and run reports, not to actually answer issues. And with that, I will open it up to some questions. And if you have any last minute questions, please submit them to the Q&A box so I can answer them as well. Okay, I have the first question is, what if we want to park a few issues deliberately? So a great question. So you can actually assign to queue manually. So a couple ways to do that, right? So let's say I'm in all issues, or I go to My Open Issues, right? Let's say this was improperly routed, or I need to escalate to someone else. I'm inside an issue. One way to do it is down here. I can then scroll up or search, right? I can do queues. You see the header is now queues down here. I can also assign to a different person, but I can do this queue. I can do VIP queue. So now it's assigned to that one. Another way you can do it is a bulk action. So if I select this, or actually I should probably select more since I'm doing a bulk action, I can shift, hold down, edit issues. I can now assign to a specific queue or back to the respective queue, right? And that's a great way if you're ending your shift to basically say, okay, these are assigned to me, but I'm clocking out in 2 minutes. I probably won't be able to assign to them. I can kick it back to the queue they originally came from. This one, assigned to a specific queue, is more of a transfer process, right? It needs to be escalated. I'm talking to a customer and it's now a billing issue. Let me move it to somewhere else. And I can move these back to, let's say they were billing, update, in there. Now, the next question I have is, how do we, and there's a bulk action, right? So how do we enable the FAQs in the SDK before someone submits a ticket? So that's a show search on conversation. It's an API call. That's just a true or false value. real quick, I will show you where it's in dead docs. You can show search. There we go. I search for show search on conversation. Yes, that's very meta. So down here they have a video, and you basically set it to yes. So it's a simple yes/no flag, iOS and Android. Next question I have here. Is a typing indicator an optional feature that can be toggled off in SDK setup? Yes, it is also a true-false value as well. You can have that because it's a with options parameter. Not to get too detailed and technical here, but you can set it up so only certain users can see a typing indicator. Or if you're doing guided issue filing, only one choice enables typing indicator while another one doesn't. And let me show you where the typing indicator is. There we go. Enable typing indicator, iOS and Android, and simple yes/no flag as well. Next question. Can you show the SLA violation automation? Sure. There's two types of SLAs violations that you can theoretically do, right? One is no one's responding for the first time, and another one maybe it's in the middle of a conversation. So let's go to time-based automation here. So this one is the SLA violation. Now you can customize it a little bit differently based upon your use cases, right? Maybe your SLA is a minute or hours. The if statement here is I'm basically saying that no agent has responded to in 30 seconds or any amount of time. Now, the automation from the new issue automation, the automatic reply has already gone out. So it might say, hey, someone will be with you shortly. But no human, right, Tracy has not responded, or anybody else on my team has not responded. The queue is already in a certain queue. Now you can do multiple queues. You can do, right, is one of. So I can do this queue or that queue. And then I have assignee is set. Now this is really important because if the assignee is set, it means it's not a backlog issue. Now I can also do a backlog time-based automation, and that would be assignee is not set. Because a backlog, the definition of that is when it's not been assigned, right? It's just in the new issue status. But when assignee is set, it means that someone is available and they have capacity. So we've assigned that from that logic. Then of course, I'm adding the SLA violation here, and I'm escalating it to another queue. So the then options can be different, but you really want to focus on categorizing an SLA violation and then either responding or saying it to another queue. Next question. If at capacity, will new tickets remain in queue and be auto-assigned as space becomes free, or they arrive about queue? First part of the question is that is the correct answer, right? So if you're at capacity, they hold up in a queue, and then as soon as agents start responding back, we're going to distribute it in that round robin assignment rule fashion. Of course, based upon customer wait time as one of the priorities to those available agents in that queue. So it truly is almost a set it and forget it, but you'll do want to optimize your queues, looking at your KPIs from time to time, right? Making sure that maybe you need to increase the maximum number of issues per user, per agents, right? So things to consider. Next question. How can I check the list of available agents in this moment? Great question. We're working on it. That's more of a live ops scenario, which I definitely see that would be great to make sure that your agents are who's available right now. We do have some logs, so it's not real time yet, but if you want to do analytics and logs, you can talk to account manager about getting access to the log in, log out time of those agents and making sure that they're actually logged in and responding to issues and not claiming. Now, I know a lot of you might have outsourcing partners where that's what you pay on, right? So this is great for your auditing and making sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck from those partners. Next question is, can we force sign out someone in case they forgot to sign out? In that case, if you're worried about that, then I would disable this option. So that's basically going to make sure that when you're logged in, you're getting issues. So if you don't want issues, log out. It's not used too often. We just have it here because people at Helpshift, we trust on when the market stuff is available in a way. But I can definitely understand that you probably don't want this enabled for most situations because, well, as you mentioned in the question, you have to rely on someone signing in and signing out. Can we assign an agent to multiple teams? Not teams, but multiple groups. So if you want an agent to be on, it sounds like multiple different departments, then maybe teams isn't your best avenue, and you'll want to focus more on adding groups to certain queues and not teams. Next question, can you use the auto-assign feature without using queues? It's not really effective. Queues is really a issue balancing product and detecting on who's available. Without it, it doesn't make much sense, and you would just, because you would have so few agents on your team, it'd be better for them just to manually pull out of smart queues. Queues is really built for large organizations or organizations with really tight SLAs, because you don't want to waste time of an agent thinking or training an agent, right? That's a big thing, right? Is the old way we have with smart views, CS managers are spending a lot of time and money training agents on their day-to-day operations and their tasks, right? Go to the smart view, check it out, look for the VIPs, right? That's just a lot of wasted time. So with queues, we're doing all the thinking for you. So you hire someone, they come in, you say, just sit there. If it comes into your My Open Issues, answer it, reply, and get the next one. So very simple and straightforward. Another question. What if an agent has tickets on them at the end of the day and they sign out? So great question. So what you can do is a few things, right? If you saw earlier, I manually assigned things back to a queue, and that was just through a bulk action, right? I can move back to the respective queue. Another thing you can do too is run a time-based automation. So let's do one from scratch, right? So what we can do here is we'll go to time-based automations, new automation, and this will be reassign end of day. So these conditions will basically be that agent's next response was not sent in, right? It's an open conversation. The agent hasn't come back to the queue yet, right? Or they forgot to log out, sign out. Let's get back to a queue, right? So you can do, queue is one of, right? Maybe, or live chat, you only want this to run on certain queues. Of course, the assignee is set, right? Which basically means that it's in someone's possession. You don't know who, but someone's possession. And then, of course, you can assign back to respective queue. And then you would set the timing threshold too. You might want to give it, I don't know, 30 minutes, let's say. And then you can have that run automatically every day. And you just look for that. Any last questions? Oh, one last question. All right. The question is, will doing a time-based automation assign all tickets back to the queue, not just the unhandled ones? So you will want to do two different time-based automations, right? So if it's this one is agent's next response was not sent in, maybe you want to do that no one's touched it, would be first response. So you'd want to do, if that's your use case, you'd want to do 3 time-based automations and maybe users not replied in. And of course, for each one, you might want to set different timing thresholds and also incorporate different queues for that, and maybe add some messaging as well in reply to that customer or just private notes. But up to you. I would really play around with the different timing triggers here and figure out what's the best agent experience, operational experience, and of course, customer experience that you want to deliver automatically. Now, what do I have some tickets that I want to keep is another question. So if you want to keep some tickets, you can basically say assignee is not, right? Is none of, and maybe it's certain agents that you don't want this rule to run for. Maybe I trust myself to not forget to throw things back to the queue. Melissa's pretty trustworthy. She's our support manager there, right? So I would make sure that this rule does not run on myself or Melissa when it's assigned to me or Melissa. And that's one way you can do it. Of course, none of is a list. It's an or list. Is equals. So these are just the operators that you can go over and use throughout our automation builder product. Well, great. I had a lot of fun with you guys. If you have any questions, Please, you can email myself, adam@helpshift.com, success@helpshift.com. But thank you, and have a great day and night, depending upon where you are in the world.